The new RTX 5070 performs like a 4090, but somehow costs less than a beautiful holiday cruise around Somalia.
Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
RTX 4090 owners across the world must be quaking in their boots. However, the sweet smell of shit from a ball is potent and hard to ignore. As my mother always says, I have a feeling this sounds a bit too good to be true.
With the Blackwell family RTX 5070, 4090 performance at 549.
Oh, let's go! That's class!
Impossible without artificial intelligence. Impossible without the 4 teraops.
As someone who is partly a complete knobhead, but also worked harder than a dog to own an RTX 4090, as it literally costs more than my god-to-hell car, the words "I've been royally scammed harder than a old been on the phone to an Indian call centre" did come to mind, until you realise the RTX 5070 isn't all it's made out to be. So this new graphics card is described as comparable to the previous generation's flagship, the 4090, in certain performance scenarios, which is enough to give most people an uncontrollable rod on, especially at this price point. But you might be thinking, how in the name of Jesus, Mary, and Flip is this possible? Well, if you're anything like me, you've probably watched a video which explains how this works exactly, and it's done using the newest and revolutionary DLSS 4 technology, which uses AI that you normally use to construct all of your important work and school emails to generate additional frames that create a David Blaine illusion of smoother and better performance, minus the input lag and latency, of course. DLSS therefore boosts your FPS despite running at 4K or 1440p resolution with the settings whacked up, because AI is providing the fake frames to smooth the experience out. And we've gone from not owning our games to not even owning our frames. What a time to be alive. And I've got to be completely real here. Is anyone else sick to death of all these new AI technologies coming out? Frame generation this or multi-frame generation that. It's starting to do my god to hell head in, especially when they now constantly get used to measure new GPU performance instead of looking at its true capabilities. Christ, maybe it's just me. Give the video a like if I'm not the only gobshite that thinks this. If you want the 5070 in a nutshell, this is the perfect picture that sums it up with no bollocks. I do completely get that these technologies allow people with piss poor cars to experience games in a far better way, so I completely get it. But I'm starting to find it complete aids when new cards are being released and their performance is shown with DLSS or frame smegma generation enabled, as it just inflates the numbers on the graph, making it look miles better than it actually is. When in actual fact, without DLSS or Spelliarmus the 5th enabled, the graph would look pretty piss poor. It wouldn't be terrible, but it wouldn't look anywhere near as appealing or worth upgrading to. All I personally want to know is how the damn game performs without all the bollocks enabled. This combobulation DLSS the 3rd or multi-cut generation should be the icing on the cake for even more FPS. It shouldn't be at the forefront, and what makes it worse is this new DLSS 4 isn't something every game is going to support right away. So those buying the 5070 thinking they're gonna murk every 4090 owner in existence will be gutted when they load up Simpsons Hit and Run and realise it runs at about 49 FPS with no frame circumference or multi-Philosopher's Stone generation enabled. Yeah, I'm sure it won't take too long for more games to get DLSS 4 applied, but it doesn't change the fact that these settings are seriously inflating the FPS results. And yes, these smart little buggers out there who do their research would have noticed that CUDA cores, ray tracing cores, along with greater memory is far better on the 4090. So in terms of on the paper specs, there is no comparison between them, and the 4090 does remain the far better card. The 5070 is solely relying on AI to compete with the performance of better cards. But despite the 5070 not being what it may seem on the surface, maybe for its price tag, it isn't actually a bad shout and not a complete scam. As long as you're not a complete tart about playing native 4K or 1440p and don't mind caning a load of the AI settings on. But if you do decide to go down this route, just beg to Christ you only feel in the mood for Alan Wake, Cyberpunk, Diablo 4, God of War or Stalker 2. and I'm really interested to know how this card will perform without DLSS 4. I mean, it hasn't even been said yet, and I love the sneaky wording here, you sneaky little rascals.
Gamers will be able to experience performance twice as fast as the 4070 in games like Cyberpunk, Alan Wake, Black Myth, etc., etc. They don't mention Far Cry 6, they don't mention any other game that isn't going to have DLSS 4's multi-frame generation enabled.
There is also no doubt that those who know bugger all about PCs and think thermal paste is another type of salad dressing will buy into this card believing the hype that it's truly 4090 competition, when in actual fact it technically isn't. I see parents in Facebook groups spending 1,000 to 2,000 on outdated gaming PCs from Curry's PC World all the time that aren't fit to run a bath, and it's painful to see. But I guess it's their duty to really research these things before spunking the big bucks. So for those wondering, I won't be going bankrupt for a second time and buying the 5090, and I sure to hell won't be buying the 5070. But are you? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comment section down below, I would love to know. And this was just my honest opinion, and I wanted to put it out there and get your thoughts. Anyways, what the hell do I know? I'll see you guys next time.